Hey, if you watch part one, you know we're diving deep into the most transformational lessons my avoidant partners taught me. And if you haven't watched part one yet, pause this video, go watch it first because these lessons build on each other. Today, I'm sharing 5 more life-changing insights that completely rewired how I understand love, attachment, and my own worth. And I'm warning you right now that number 4 about what real love actually feels like is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about healthy relationships. These lessons didn't just change my dating life, they saved my life, to be honest. What I suggest right now is that you grab your journal because you're going to want to take notes on this. For now though, welcome back to my channel. My name is Flora Ong and this is Redo Love, and we're here to break the cycles that keep you stuck in relationships that drain your soul instead of nourishing it. If you're tired of attracting the same emotionally unavailable people, if you're done making someone else's capacity for love the measure of your worth, if you're ready to stop chasing love and start attracting it from a place of wholeness, you're in the right place. This isn't about finding someone to complete you. This is about becoming so secure in who you are that you only accept love that feels like peace, not anxiety. We're redoing love from the inside out, one nervous system at a time. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and check out part 1 of this series because these lessons will transform your relationship with love forever. So in part 1, I covered how avoidant partners teach us that love looks different from the lens of your nervous system, how to distinguish intuition from trauma response, the power of self-soothing, loving yourself despite not being chosen, and energetic boundaries. Today's lessons, we go even deeper. We're talking about the difference between love and codependence, why patience from a regulated nervous system changes everything, what secure love actually looks like, why their communication has nothing to do with your worth. But the hardest lesson of all is releasing the savior complex, which is number 10. These lessons literally saved me from a lifetime of anxious patterns. Lesson 6 was learning the difference between interdependence and codependence through the contrast of being with someone who was fiercely independent. When you are codependent, when you are anxious, this is really hard. Avoidant partners with their intense need for autonomy inadvertently show you what happens when you try to love someone by becoming them. They mirror back your codependent patterns in the most uncomfortable way possible. When you lose yourself in love, they pull away. When you try to merge with their energy, they create more distance. It's like the more you desire it, the further you get from it. But why? Why does it happen that way? Because you're not aligned with your desire. Rather, what you're actually aligned with is the lack of it. And here's what's going on the inside. Codependence actually dysregulates not only your nervous system, but theirs as well. As an avoidant, when you have enmeshment trauma, usually from childhood where caregivers couldn't handle their own emotions, you learn to manage them. Your brain literally doesn't know where you end and others begin. The insula, which is responsible for interoception, your ability to feel what's happening inside your own body, becomes confused about whose emotions you're feeling. But avoidant partners won't let you lose yourself in them. They don't want to do it again. It was already heavily overwhelming in childhood. They won't take responsibility for your emotional regulation because they spent a lifetime trying to escape this dynamic and trying to feel their own feelings. And while this feels like rejection to the anxious person, it's actually the greatest gift they can give you. The opportunity to learn that love doesn't require you to abandon yourself. Interdependence looks like this: 2 people completely whole with their own interests, their own friends, their own nervous system regulation, choosing to share time together. It's not you complete me, it's you complement me. It's understanding that healthy love enhances who you are already. It doesn't replace who you are. When I finally learned this lesson, I stopped trying to be everything to someone and started being myself in relationships. I stopped making their moods my responsibility and started taking responsibility for my own emotional state. And ironically, this is when I became truly attractive, not just to them, but to myself as well. There's lesson 7, patience. And I know what you're thinking, patience? I've been patient for months, for years. But let me tell you about the kind of patience that actually changes everything and why your anxious nervous system makes this feel impossible. When we have anxious attachment, our nervous system is constantly scanning for signs of abandonment. We're hypervigilant. Our vagus nerve, which controls our rest and digest response, is chronically activated in a state of sympathetic arousal. We're literally living in a state of emergency, waiting for the other shoe to drop. So when an avoidant partner pulls away, our nervous system interprets this as life or death. The patience I'm talking about isn't just waiting, isn't just sitting on your hands, it's learning to regulate your nervous system while you wait. It's understanding that their need for space doesn't mean they're leaving you forever. I remember dating in my teens and 20s and literally crying, worried that my boyfriend was hurt or something terrible had happened when I didn't hear from them. I knew nothing about this stuff back then, but I was so anxious. Don't even get me started if they went on a trip and they were on a plane and they were unreachable for hours. I would sit by the phone, anxiously waiting, not wanting to leave the house until I heard that they'd arrived safely. And yes, this was pre-cell phones. Don't judge me. But now I understand what was really going on back then. Into my post-divorce dating journey, I was waiting for the worst to happen. My anxious attachment told me that something bad would inevitably happen, and I was waiting for the shoe to drop. I was expecting to be abandoned. But now I understand that practicing patience from a regulated nervous system literally rewires our neural pathways. We're teaching our brains that space does not equal abandonment. We're activating our parasympathetic nervous system, which allows us to think clearly instead of reacting from a place of trauma. The patience that changed everything for me wasn't waiting for them to come back. It was learning to be patient with myself while I healed the parts of me that interpreted their withdrawal as evidence of my unworthiness. It was patience with the process of rewiring decades of conditioning that told me love meant anxiety. This kind of patience requires you to trust that you're worthy of love even when someone can't show up for you the way you need. It requires you to believe that their healing timeline is not your responsibility. And when you can be patient from this place of self-worth, everything shifts. Lesson 8 was a real wake-up call, learning what love should not feel like through the contrast of being with somebody avoidant. This lesson taught me the difference between trauma bonding and actual secure attachment. You see, when you're with an avoidant partner, love constantly feels like anxiety. It feels like walking on eggshells, wondering if today is the day that they're going to pull away completely. It feels like your nervous system is always activated, always scanning for signs of abandonment, always trying to read between the lines of their minimal communication. And let's not forget the calm that comes over you when they do reach out. But here's what I learned. That's not love. That's trauma bonding. The neuroscience of trauma bonding is fascinating and kind of scary, of course. When we're in inconsistent relationships, we get intermittent reinforcement of love and attention, just like gambling. Our brain releases dopamine in the same pattern as addiction. We literally become addicted to the highs and lows, mistaking the intensity for passion, the anxiety for love. Real love, secure love, activates different neurochemical pathways. It releases steady oxytocin and vasopressin bonding hormones, which are bonding hormones that create feelings of safety and calm. Secure love doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't leave you analyzing text messages or wondering where you stand. Secure love feels like peace. It feels like coming home to yourself, not losing yourself. It feels like someone sees your flaws and chooses you anyway. Not someone who makes you feel like your emotions are too much. It feels like safety in your nervous system, not constant activation. The contrast of being with an avoidant partner taught me that if love feels like drowning, it's not love, it's trauma. If love makes you smaller, quieter, less yourself, it's not love, it's conditioning. If love requires you to abandon your needs to keep someone comfortable, it's not love, it's people-pleasing born from attachment wounds. This lesson taught me to recognize the feeling of secure functioning in my body, to notice when my nervous system is calm versus activated, to understand that real love doesn't require you to prove your worth. It sees your worth as a given and loves it. The one that will change everything if you really let it land. You see, their inability to communicate, show up, to love you the way you need has absolutely nothing to do with your worth. I used to think that if I could just be better, more understanding, more patient, more independent, they would finally be able to love me fully. I made their attachment wounds about my inadequacy. But here's what the science tells us. Avoidant attachment develops between the ages of 0 to 3 years old. Their nervous system learned to shut down emotional expression before they could even speak. When an avoidant partner goes silent, withdraws, or struggles to communicate, their feelings, their nervous system is literally protecting them from what it perceives as an emotional threat. Prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for communication and emotional regulation, goes offline when the amygdala is activated. They're not choosing to hurt you. They're in nervous system survival mode. But here's the key. Understanding this doesn't mean you accept poor treatments. It means you stop making their trauma response about your worth. It means you recognize that someone else's healing journey is not your responsibility, and your worth is not dependent on their ability to see it. The most powerful thing you can do when someone can't communicate their feelings is to stay connected to your truth, to remember that your need for emotional intimacy isn't too much, to understand that their silence isn't a reflection of your value. This lesson taught me that I can have compassion for someone's wounds without making myself responsible for healing them. I can understand their nervous system without abandoning my own needs. And most importantly, I can love someone and still choose to walk away if the relationship doesn't nourish my soul. And this is probably the most important thing that you need to understand, that simply love is not enough. You can love someone, but if that person cannot meet your needs, cannot solve problems with you, runs away anytime there's a sign of conflict, can't communicate in a healthy way, then it doesn't matter how much you love them, and it doesn't matter how much they love you. It does not serve you to be in a relationship that will ultimately destroy you. And this brings us to lesson 10. The final and perhaps most painful lesson is that your healing is not their awakening. And this brings me to the final and perhaps most painful lesson. Your healing is not their awakening. Your growth will not automatically heal them or make them choose you. And there's literally nothing you can do that will fix them if they don't want to be fixed. And even if they do decide to fix themselves, it still may not suit you. I used to believe that if I could just heal enough, love enough, be patient enough, regulate enough, they would see my worth and they would choose me. I thought my transformation would inspire theirs. I made my healing about them instead of about me. And I waited and hoped that they'd notice and it would be enough. And after 4 years, one of them, the main one, reached back out, and I thought, you see, the universe is bringing him back. I did the work, and this is my reward. He even told me that he realized he needed to change to do the work, that he regretted everything. So what did I do? Even though I was mostly secure at this point, I did what all good, anxious folk do. I immediately jumped into fixing mode, into action, immediately was at the ready with help, sending suggestions, videos, coaches. And what did he do? The same thing he always did. He avoided. While he was dipping his toe back in to see if I was still there, as avoidants do, he wasn't ready to actually do anything about it. So he ran with his tail between his legs, as usual. And I learned again, you cannot love someone into being emotionally available. You cannot heal someone into secure attachment. You cannot grow enough to make someone else ready for love. The neuroscience here says that our brain's ability to change requires the person to actively engage in the process of change. It requires them to feel safe enough to examine their patterns. It requires them to be ready. It requires their awareness and desire for something different, and their desire to be willing to do the work. Your healing can actually be threatening to someone with avoidant attachment because it highlights their own lack of growth. Your emotional maturity can actually trigger their nervous system more because it represents the intimacy they've learned to fear. This lesson taught me about the savior complex that often comes with anxious attachment. Many of us learned in childhood to be emotional caretakers, to manage our caregivers' feelings, to be the family therapist, to believe that love meant being in the depths of hell just because you loved someone with them. We developed hyperempathy as a survival strategy. But someone else's healing journey is not your responsibility. Someone else's emotional growth is not your project. Your worth is not determined by your ability to love someone into wholeness. The most radical thing I learned was that my healing is for me. My growth is for me. My transformation is about becoming the person I'm meant to be, not about proving my lovability to someone who can't see it. When I finally released the savior complex, when I stopped making my healing about them and started making it about me, everything shifted. I stopped attracting people who needed fixing and started attracting people who were already doing their own work. I stopped trying to earn love and started expecting it as my birthright. These 10 lessons from both parts of this series didn't just change how I show up in relationships, they completely transformed my relationship with myself. They taught me that healing isn't about finding someone who doesn't trigger your attachment wounds. It's about healing those wounds so deeply that you're no longer unconsciously attracted to people who can't meet your needs. Every painful relationship, every avoidant partner, every moment of questioning myself was leading me to this understanding. I am not here to earn love. I am not here to prove my worth. I am not here to fix anyone or save anyone or love anyone into emotional availability. I'm here to love myself so completely that I only accept love that feels like home, not like homework. If you're ready to break the cycle of anxious avoidant relationships, if you're tired of making someone else's capacity for love the measure of your worth, if you're ready to redo love from the inside out, I want to help you. Because your healing matters to me. Because when I heal you, I heal a little piece of myself. Your peace matters. Your nervous system regulation matters. So hit that like button if these lessons resonated. Subscribe, share with a friend who needs this, and check out my masterclass in the box below the video. Click the more button and it should open it up. Let me know in the comments which of these 10 lessons from both videos changed your perspective the most. And remember, you don't need to fix anyone to be worthy of love. You just need to come home to yourself. That's how we redo love from the inside out.